Said, "Oh, man, Trump's gonna go to war with us. He was with Bush when they went stupidly into the Middle East. They should have never done it." I used to say it as a civilian. So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe.
After much anticipation, Donald Trump sat down with podcaster Joe Rogan today in an interview that can only be described as an absolute disaster. Now, Joe Rogan's podcasts usually run pretty long, but this interview was almost 3 hours. We know that whenever Donald Trump opens his mouth, it is bound to backfire. But the longer this interview went on, the crazier it got and the more deranged Donald Trump was. Joe Rogan could certainly tell with one specific moment that we are going to check out. Donald Trump stunned Joe Rogan into silence, revealing just how dumb he is with one of the craziest statements Donald Trump has made in the entire campaign. Rogan was so shocked, and we're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy our channel and haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really goes a long way and means the world to me. Now let's get into some of this interview.
Said, "Oh, man, Trump's going to go to war with us. He was with Bush when they went stupidly into the Middle East. They should have never done it." I used to say it as a civilian. So I always got more publicity than other people, and it wasn't like I was trying. In fact, I don't know exactly why. Maybe you can tell me why.
Oh, I could definitely tell you. You said a lot of wild shit.
Maybe.
I don't agree with Joe Rogan on everything, but certainly that assessment is spot on. Donald Trump. Yeah, you get a lot of media coverage because you do crazy and horrible things. We are talking about you being a fascist right now because the chairman of your Joint Chiefs of Staff and your former chief of staff called you a fascist because you are one. So, of course, we are going to cover that, and of course you are afraid of that coverage. We can tell that Donald Trump is insecure about these interviews because of what he said right here.
Can you imagine Kamala doing this show?
I could imagine her doing this show.
She'd be laying on the floor.
She was supposed to do it, and she might still do it, and I hope she does.
She's not going to do it.
I will talk to her like a human being. I would
if
try to have a
she did this
conversation
kind of an
with her.
interview with you, I hope she does, because it would be a mess. She'd be laying on the floor comatose. You'd be saying, "Call in the medics."
I think we'd have a fine conversation.
The idea that Kamala Harris couldn't do an interview with Joe Rogan just baffles me. The fact that Trump thinks he is a better interviewer and that he has done more media appearances when he is canceling interviews and rallies left and right is ridiculous. He wouldn't sit down with 60 Minutes because he was so afraid. The last time he was on 60 Minutes, he literally walked out of the interview. Just an absolute joke of an answer from Donald Trump. And it continued to get worse as Joe Rogan asked Donald Trump about the biggest failure of his administration. And he said this.
So the one question that you'll ask me, that I think you'll ask me, that people seem to ask, and I always come up with the same answer. If the one mistake, because I had a lot of success, great economy, great everything. Everything was great. The military, we rebuilt it, biggest tax cuts in history, all this stuff. We had a great presidency. 3 Supreme Court justices. Most people get none. You know, you pick them young. This way they're there for 50 years, right? So, you know, even if a president is there for 8 years, oftentimes they never have a chance. I had 3. It was sort of the luck of the draw. But I will say that it always comes back to the same answer. The biggest mistake I made was I picked some people. I picked some great people, you know, but you don't think about that. I picked some people that I shouldn't have picked. I picked a few people that I shouldn't have picked. And
neocons?
Trump has really enjoyed being asked this question lately, so much so that he has gone out of his way to bring it up. He continues to say the biggest failure of his administration was not COVID, not his attack on our democracy, not his destruction of our economy. No, it was the people he put around him. Even though he said before that he had the best people, he's saying that because 4 out of 40 of his cabinet officials haven't endorsed him. His former chief of staff said that he was a fascist. So many former Trump officials have come out against him, and he is trying to deflect by saying, no, They were just bad people. It's not that they observed me and realized how terrible I was. He is trying to rewrite history, and we cannot allow him to. He tried to again when talking about Hillary Clinton in this clip right here.
Will you do that to him, to them, if you win? You know, the presidency has tremendous power. I could have put crooked Hillary
I
in
respected
jail.
that you didn't, because what you said was it would be bad for the country.
No, I can't. I couldn't even imagine. You have, first of all, Secretary of State, but more importantly, the wife of the President of the United States of America going into jail. And if you ever saw, when I'd say something about her, they'd all say, I didn't say it. I never said it. They say, lock her up, lock her up. And I'd always go, take it easy, just relax. We're going to win this thing. Take it easy, take it easy. And I'm telling you, I kept it down, just the opposite. Now they say, oh, Trump wanted to put her in jail. No, I saved her from going to jail. They had more stuff on her. And Comey had it, because when Comey got up, and he stupidly, because he's a stupid guy too, he goes, he's a stupid son of a bitch. He got up, Joe, he got up, and instead of saying she's innocent of all charges, he went over each charge, and each charge was a killer. And he'd go, and as far as her doing this, she's innocent. And this, and then she's only an unfair prosecutor for it would go. But every time you heard these charges, they sounded so bad. They were bad. And all of
this couldn't be further from the truth. He said there that his crowd would chant, lock her up, and he would try to settle them down. Now, that is actually true of Kamala Harris, who, whenever she hears lock her up chants about Donald Trump, who is already a convicted felon, mind you, she says, no, we got to beat him at the ballot box because that's what matters. That's what we have to do first. Donald Trump wanted to put Hillary Clinton in prison. Donald Trump wants to put all of his political opponents in prison and tried to under his administration. That couldn't be further from the truth. He is a completely corrupt and dangerous individual. Of course, we know that during his presidency, but even before his presidency, when he was a private citizen, Donald Trump talked about, in this clip, trying to be corrupt with Congress. I don't know why he's admitting it, but let's take a look.
One little thing. So there was a congressman years before I ran, and I was very close to him. And I needed a license on something, and he was very important in getting the license. But it was a little bit controversial, the license, this particular thing that was being licensed. But I was close to this guy and helped him and everything else. And I went to him. I said, I'd like to have your help. And he said, let me take a look at it. I said, ooh, that's not too good. But I really hope you're going to help. And anyway, he tapped me along for a long period of time and ultimately didn't do it. And I said, you are a stiff. You could have done this thing so easy, etc. But it was controversial.
Yes, even before Zelensky, Donald Trump was clearly trying out his quid pro quos on members of Congress. I don't know why he's trying to admit that pressuring someone into giving him a license is acceptable. I don't know. But that's what Donald Trump does. Like I said, as this interview went on, it only got crazier. And like I said in the beginning of this video, one specific moment absolutely stunned Joe Rogan, and we can see it in this clip right here.
Did you just float out the idea of getting rid of income taxes and replacing it with tariffs?
Well, okay.
Were you serious about that?
Yeah, sure. But why not? Because ready? Our country was the richest relatively in the 1880s and 1890s. A president who was assassinated named McKinley. He was the tariff king. He spoke beautifully of tariffs. His language was really beautiful. We will not allow the enemy to come in and take our jobs and take our factories and take our workers and take our families unless they pay a big price. And the big price is tariffs. And he'd speak like that, but he was right. And then around in the early 1900s, they switched over stupidly to, frankly, an income tax. And you know why? Because countries were putting a lot of pressure on America. We don't want to pay tariffs. Please don't. You know, believe me, they control our politicians. If you look at the kind of numbers that these guys make then and now. But we had a commission meeting in the, I think it was 1887. Think of this problem. We were so rich, we had so much money, we didn't know what to do. So they set up a blue ribbon commission on tariffs. and the sole purpose is what to do with all the money we had. We were so rich because we were taxing other people for coming in and taking our jobs.
You can tell just how shocked Rogan is by this proposition from Trump to completely eliminate income tax. He doesn't know what he's talking about. His plans, as we know, would be devastating to our economy, adding trillions more to the debt than Kamala Harris. That is why business officials left, right, and center have endorsed Kamala Harris as much better for business, because Donald Trump has already been a disaster, and we know it would get even worse. That's why so many people are talking about this from all sides, except for, of course, the MAGA media. Speaking of which, Joe Rogan tried to make this point about the media that I want us to take a look at, and then we're going to call out.
It's a creepy, corrupt business, and the media, to a large extent, acts as a propaganda arm for the Democratic Party.
It's not even believable.
Yeah, it's bizarre to watch, and most young people, I think, are aware of it. I think most boomers still, unfortunately, read the newspapers and believe in CNN.
But it's getting younger. Let me
Yes.
tell you, it's getting for us, for a conservative.
Yes.
And I consider myself a person.
It's the internet. It's because the internet's giving
so.
people information that they're not getting from anywhere else. And they like the very fine people hoax, the Russiagate hoax, all these different things that they've done. They tried to pin on you. That's like it's a clear distortion of what you actually said.
The bloodbath hoax.
Yes.
I was talking about the auto industry.
Yes.
It's a bloodbath because Japan and China are taking our auto. And I said, it's a bloodbath. They said, he used the word bloodbath.
He said, if you don't win,
somebody,
it's going to be a bloodbath because they're going to take over.
That's exactly what you said. It's a terrible thing they do.
But that's the problem with propagandists because they take things out of context, and ultimately what they do is they diminish their own credibility because people don't want to listen to them anymore because they see that they've done that and they recognize what's going on and they feel insulted. Their intelligence is getting insulted.
The rate. To say the media is biased towards liberals and Democrats when the biggest three podcasts, Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Candace Owens, are all Republican, and the biggest news outlet, Fox, is Republican, is absurd. We see conservatives dominate the media. Joe Rogan is the biggest podcast in the world, and Donald Trump is on it. That is such a complete lie that the media is skewed towards Democrats. It is absolutely the opposite. We just saw the Washington Post editorial board be unable to endorse Kamala Harris because they are owned by a billionaire who wants big tax cuts. That is just a complete lie. And we see more of those lies as Rogan's trying to buddy up to Trump in this clip right here.
But there's probably no one in history that I've ever seen that's been attacked the way you've been attacked and the way they've done it, so coordinated and systematically. When you see those same people in the past, very favorable to you, like Oprah, when you were on Oprah's show, she was encouraging you to be
Last week, I did one of her last shows, I think maybe Thursday or Friday. That was a big deal, being on Oprah's show, the last one. And I was like one of the last shows in that final.
Again, Rogan isn't some sort of independent journalist in this conversation with Trump. Although he realizes how dumb he is, he's still trying to be nice to him. Donald Trump is the most attacked person in history, and Donald Trump is the person who has been held accountable the least in history. The fact that he has been able to get away with all of the crimes that he has is still stunning to this day. He's not attacked. We're just trying to hold him accountable. Donald Trump has used his power and corruption to make sure he can't be held accountable at all costs. But again, we have to continue to make sure that we fight to hold Donald Trump accountable and hold all of MAGA accountable. My generation cares deeply about that because we know that we cannot have a future run by MAGA and run by corrupt individuals like Donald Trump. But Trump doesn't seem to understand that, and you'll understand why in this clip.
So I have a son who's very smart and tall, Barron, right? And he knows all about you. He knows about guys I never heard of. He said, Dad, you don't know how big they are. They're big. You know, he told me how big. I said, who the hell is he? Like Ross. I did. He said, Dad, he's a great guy. I mean, guys that are doing, it's a whole new world out there.
It's a different world. And
but, I'm on TikTok now.
Congratulations.
And I've done really well. No, but you know the crazy, have you seen the numbers? Billions of hits. It's crazy.
I'm sure. TikTok's a wild application.
And I've gone up 30 points. A Republican is always down 30 with young people. I'm plus 30. And I'm on TikTok.
I think
it's had a huge impact.
Young people are rejecting a lot of this woke bullshit.
Yeah,
Young
they
people
are.
are tired of being yelled at and scolded. They're tired of these people that they think are mentally ill telling them what the moral standards of society should be today. And people are upset.
There's a big difference now, but even in just a couple of years, I was shaking hands with people. They're young people.
The rebels are Republicans now. They're like, you want to
Yeah,
be
I
a
never thought of
rebel,
it
you
that
want
way. I
to be
think
punk
you're right.
rock, you want to
Yeah.
buck the system, you're a conservative.
Yeah, Donald, I can promise you that my generation does not feel the way about you that you think they do. I don't think you are up 30 points with Gen Zers like me. I can go ahead and guarantee that for you. But again, as this interview went on, Donald Trump lost his mind. It was really just a complete disaster, and I cannot believe he was even able to talk for almost 3 hours. But yeah, not great stuff from Donald Trump stuff that we are going to continue to call out every single day. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, you can leave a like on this video, and if you've stuck around until the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.